Owens. Welcome, Shane.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Doing good, man. Thanks for hopping on with us tonight, and thank you to your wife for allowing you to get freed up from any obligations you may have had at home to take this time with us, man. I sincerely mean that. I really do appreciate that. These hopping on during the weekend always easy for us.
Yeah,
Well, just get started, Shane. Just go ahead and that most of the viewers are going to know who you are, anyways. But go ahead and introduce yourself and where you pull out of.
yeah, man. My name's Shane Owens. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, but I pull out of Spartanburg, South Carolina. The team out there, we're called Carolina Chaos. It was started by Chad Silvers back in the '90s, and about 5 years ago, I found arm wrestling on YouTube, and then started researching to see if there was anybody locally that could teach me how to arm wrestle good enough to beat somebody at a bar, and
Yeah.
found out that there was a team that trained up the road, about 45 minutes from my house. So went up there and started training with them and got bit by the bug. One thing turned into another.
So
Here we are.
Is Chaos the team about 45 minutes from you? Is that
Yeah, it's about a
oh
45, 50-minute drive. Yeah.
lucky dude, man.
Hey, blessed, man.
Lucky.
Like,
Very
hardest.
lucky. But
I don't think there's a better team in North America, arguably the world. So,
I've
and to have them right up the road from me, yeah, when
I've
I find the sport, like, yeah, I couldn't ask for a better situation.
I've never had the pleasure of pull with y'all as a group, but I've pulled I've locked up with many of you individually, slow pulls and whatnot, and I completely agree with that. There's a lot of good teams out there too. I'm not knocking any other teams, but to have that much talent in one team and one facility pulling together, motivate one another, it's you're not going to beat that in North America, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
you could build a team out of a state. Like Florida's got great pullers, but there's several
Pennsylvania,
teams. Tennessee comes to mind, Louisiana, Pennsylvania. There's several states that have California that have um, that you could build a team out of, but they don't actually train as one
yeah,
cohesive unit. Whereas Carolina Chaos, we have guys that drive, like Ryan Belanger drives 4 hours one way, and now from North Carolina, Ryan Dunwoody's training with us
yeah,
a good bit. He's really making a push and getting close to possibly, getting put in a polo shirt, as a team member with us. And he's driving, I think, like an hour and a half to Ryan Belanger's house to get in the car with him to ride the 4 hours up to
yeah,
Spartanburg to train with us. So they're
yeah.
dedicated.
Dunwoody got me down to Wilmington to pull with him and Adam. A couple months ago, we took my daughter for her first college visit, and he got down there. I got to pull with Adam and Brian, their team, and he was taking it easy on me because he had practice with y'all the next day, and they put me through king of the table. That's how they do
Oh,
their visitors. They come through and run through
oh yeah.
that for you. But Ryan feels phenomenal, and Adam complimented y'all's team. He said, "Dude, since Ryan started going and training with Chaos, we have gotten that much better because Ryan had been bringing it back to them."
Yeah.
So that's very complimentary of y'all's team to see how y'all are. That's rubbing off to other teams as well, just by the networking.
Oh
Branching
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And shout out that you talked about Ryan Belanger. I thought I always said Bellinger, but Ryan Belanger.
Yeah.
Um, wow, wow,
Stud.
wow.
Yeah.
Um, Proud of the man. I'm
Absolute
sure
stud.
he's
I
on
think
next
he's in the
week.
chat right now.
Yeah, he's on next weekend, I think it's next weekend. I was sure to send him a message on the way out there, just telling him, Carolinas was behind him, and he he met and surpassed expectations, no doubt. So
Oh yeah.
once again, a compliment to y'all's team, who I guess he was probably one of your newest members on the team, right? Ryan, would you know?
Yeah, so we have a good bit of guys that come to practice, but it takes a while before it's like there's Carolina Chaos team as a competition, and then
Yeah,
there's like people that practice with us, and it takes a while of somebody showing a lot of dedication and competing with us before
sure.
they ever actually end up in a Carolina Chaos shirt. And yeah, so Ryan Belanger is the newest one in a shirt.
Yeah, he had told me. I remember when he first. I think I I remember talking to him, getting to know him right after him and Robbie Russell had their super match early last year, and I said it then. I said something changed in that boy that day because he turned into a freaking animal after that.
Yeah, Robbie
He turned
Russell. Yeah, he
eh,
woke he woke up
right.
a demon.
Ryan turned into an absolute animal after that, and
Yep.
he's been on a tear since. So, but and then I wanted to thank you for coming to my 176 round robin Silverback Arm Cruiser 176 to support Joe, and once again, Joe, and you said it. When you was talking about, it, you said he's the most fundamentally sound technical person on the team.
Yes.
And and I saw that. I saw he is just textbook. He is a textbook puller.
Yeah, he wins pretty, he loses pretty. Everything he does is spot on perfect, but that's a legacy puller, you know.
Yeah, he was phenomenal, and he was going against Leray put on a great 176 round robin. Obviously, you had Dalton Duncan being the anchor there that was just really kind of ran through it. But I felt like our 176 round robin was tough, very very
Oh yeah.
tough with the talent that was there. When you got I don't want to say certain names because I don't want to come across as disrespectful, but when you have some national champions go 0-7, it's like that's
Yeah.
that's a tough crew that you're pulling with,
Yeah.
and it was a really good show, and I appreciate y'all coming down. You and Dylan and Live Chaos support came. I really do
Oh yeah.
appreciate it. Well, let's talk about the first time I got to see you, Shane, in person, pull was against Paul Walther in Winston Salem. Was that probably over 2 years ago?
No, that was last year, spring of last year.
Spring
Yeah.
of last year, so a little over a year ago, and you absolutely was phenomenal. There's a lot of hype behind that match, and that's where because I've only been in sport about a little over 2 years, so I was really starting to get to know folks then, and you was impressive then, and been doing great since. And your next match is it Carl Stanley's your next match?
Yeah, so it's the East First West Challenger Series. It's being hosted in Orlando, Florida. It's being put on by Chance Shaw and Dylan Williamson from Florida. And I guess they're working together with East First West. So it's kind of some high level guys that don't have the recognition. It's an opportunity to give us a little bit of a spotlight and possibly, with impressive enough performances, maybe an added talent pool for East First West for the big show to pull
Yeah.
from. So I'm real lucky and blessed that as soon as Chance Shaw got busy on it, he shot me a message and was like, "Hey, dude, I want to get you down here for a super match." We couldn't set up the original opponent. It didn't work out. And then he hit me up. He was like, "What about Carl Stanley?" And it was no question. It's not that I'm that confident that I could beat Carl Stanley, but me and Carl Stanley, I'm super heavyweight in the Southeast. We've been going to lock horns for a long
Yeah.
time. It just hasn't happened. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just thankful to finally have that opportunity to pull against him.
Carl's a hell of a puller too.
Hell of a
Carl,
puller. Yeah.
hell of a puller. I'm excited about it. When I saw it, I was like, that. I like that matchup a lot. And there's I like a lot of. I like a lot of, like you said, the ones that have not quite hit that upper echelon, the upper tier. That's where I'm really more of a fan of the guys in that level personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I feel like where I connect more with those guys, where it's like an achievable goal to shoot for to get in that crowd. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To pull
Yeah.
with those group. And when I saw that, I was like, I like that matchup a lot. I like you and Passmore a lot. I know. I think you lost to Passmore last year or sometime, but I
Yeah.
like
I
y'all.
pulled Passmore. So I kind of had three matches pretty close together in a short period. I had Paul Walther. Well, I guess you could say four. I pulled Paul Walther, and then like a few weeks later, head to Arizona State. And I'll be honest, I went to Arizona State headhunting Sandra Sadis because I knew he would be there,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I just wanted to feel, you know what I mean, what my level was or how far off I was, and man, that's a world champion. You know, what
yeah.
I mean?
Absolutely.
That was quite the experience, and that was my first time ever flying.
Yeah,
It was just a very, I like to say, we don't lose, we learn, and that was a huge learning experience for me. And then I turned around and pulled Vitalis Lawless at the Shaw Classic.
okay.
I was real. That was another amazing experience. I got to fly out to Colorado and be treated like a professional athlete by Brian Shaw and Kerry Shaw and their whole crew, and got to put on a performance and arm wrestled with Vitatis Lawless, which he got second at World's Strongest Man. He won the Arnold Strongman Classic, and from what I was told, he was like a Lithuanian national arm wrestling champion. So it was like a powerhouse dude, and I got lucky enough to get the win there. And then right after that, I pulled Paul Passmore, and
Oh,
Paul
just little
Passmore
old
put the
Paul
brake.
Passmore. Little old
Oh
Paul
man, my,
Passmore.
my brother from a Georgian mother put the brakes on me real fast. You know what I
He,
mean?
he's impressive. He's
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah.
He's a got my 5-year-old over here bringing me some berries. Go inside. But anyways, but yeah. So like I said, what's the date of the? That's next weekend as well, right? The Challenger
This
Series
weekend, this coming
this
Saturday.
weekend.
Yeah, I fly out. I
Oh, it
fly
is
to
the 15th.
Orlando
Yeah,
tomorrow. Yeah,
it's the
yeah, I
15th.
fly
That's right.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, man, best of luck to that. Talking about your preparation because obviously you had a loaded up 2023 with all the matches you just mentioned. What kind of training do you focus on more so? I know, well, from what I've heard, do y'all hit the table every weekend or do y'all take
Yes.
it's every weekend? And then
Yeah.
how do you split up your gym time, table time? Tell us a little bit about your training regimen.
Um, Currently no gym time. So when I got into the sport 5 years ago, I'd never worked out, never done anything active since I was I played football back in school days. You know what I mean? But I got into the sport at 33, and just massively overweight, lazy guy that wanted to, like I said, learn enough arm wrestling to beat people in a bar.
Yeah,
And it eventually 6 months into the sport, I broke my right arm, and that flipped a switch with me. And I was like, man, I got to get in shape. So I got in pretty good shape. I actually made it all the way down to the 231 class. And then I started bulking back up a little bit and started lifting weights heavy, doing some power lifting. I ended up detaching my left bicep. Well, I had it put back on. And then, like 2 months later, I ripped my right brachialis in half. And I think it was like, that just some weakness came through, man, mentally, just the injury after injury after injury. And I was like, man, I couldn't even go in there and, dumbbell fly like
yeah,
10 pounds, just from pain. And I got out of the gym. But more importantly, I got off the diet. And so the weight started piling back on. Now, I didn't stop training, though. That's the one thing I didn't. I
yeah,
never stopped my table time. And so for the past couple of years, it's just solid table time. That's it, once a week. And then back in December, um, the health caught up to me. The weight caught back up, and I felt it. I felt terrible.
yeah.
And then I made the decision then. I was like, I'm not even going to compete in 2024. I'm just going to take 2024 to get healthy. Well, by the end of January, I was competing anyways because it's like a drug,
Yeah, oh yeah. You can't
So
stay
I
away.
started,
You can't stay away
yeah, yeah.
because once you just train, you're like, oh man, I'm stronger than ever. I feel great. Now I got to test it. I got to test it.
Yeah, yeah. So I started dieting and feeling better, losing weight, feeling better. Blood pressure came down. Just started getting healthier and healthier. And so I didn't want to change up too much going in with Carl Stanley. I continued my diet until about 6 weeks ago. I switched from deficit to a maintenance
Okay.
at 253 pounds. So for the past 6 weeks, I have not woken up under 250 or over 255. Weighing every morning and kind of just maintaining my food. Now, today, or realistically yesterday, I kind of started my bloat because I am competing Saturday. So
And
from
no
from
cap.
today to
That's a no
Saturday,
cap, right? No cap Saturday, right?
yeah, there's no weight cap, and I think Carl Stanley's in the 290 to 295, 300, somewhere in that range. So I'm already giving up a good bit of weight to him, and you don't want to give up a pound to somebody as good as Carl Stanley. So
Yeah.
so I'm just starting my bloat that way I can go in there feeling big and
Yeah.
borderline dead. You know what I mean? Like I just felt it. I could feel my heart overworking. I just felt like garbage. And I feel great now. Like I said, I'm in a great mood every time I wake up. Uh, yeah, so I'm ready to go. I don't think that the weight is going to affect me none in this match.
Good. Real good.
Yeah,
And, I've always thought for your size too. I always liked your speed. You told me you was like, you never felt like you were fast for your size. I always felt like you was fast for a super heavyweight though. When I watched, I was like, he's got great speed for a super heavyweight. Personally,
yeah.
I've always thought that, and now I think you'll be fine. And like I said, I'm familiar with Carl too, and I do think it'll be a great match. But I do like I like your chances, and I think it'll be a good match. I do want to take a second, recognize the guys on here: David Redmond, Sean Moore, Brent Fresnel, Ryan Belanger.
Every one of them names is straight up killers. They're all my dogs. I love all of them.
We
Great guys.
Jacob Green, and we caught some crap here too, Shane. Upside down heads. I think that's a bald knock on both of us. So but yeah, so I mean, I'm looking forward to following it this weekend and watching as always. Like I said, a lot of y'all guys at y'all's levels who I kind of like. I immediately look up to as far as that's the level I think that's my next achievable in the next couple years. You know what I mean? Is to
I'm a
get
big
that.
fan of that. I'm a big fan. Some people come into the sport and some you would consider delusional, some not, but they come into the sport and they're like, I'm going to be world champion. That was never the case with me. I've always been somebody that tries to be more realistic than optimistic, and I try to set realistic, achievable goals
Yeah,
and just put my head down and focus on them. So I started off. I wanted to learn enough to beat somebody at a bar. Well, then I went and competed at a tournament,
yeah,
amateurs. And I was like, well, now I want to win an amateur tournament. Well, then I broke my arm in half. And I was
yeah,
like, well, now I've got to prove to myself that I can come back from that injury. I
yeah,
came back from that injury. I was like, now I want to win a pro tournament. So it's just been gradual, step by step. My newest goal is, to one day maybe be ranked top 10 in the nation or North America at
yeah.
whatever respective weight class I'm in. And, the way I look at it is if when I'm 80 years old, I can look at my grandkid and be like, old Pappy was a top 10 arm wrestler in his day. Man, I can't ask for no more than that. So I try
Grab
to
that
be
photo
realistic
album
with my
over
goals.
there. Yeah, grab that photo album over there for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like the goals. I did small goals myself. Once I ended the 23, I was like, I don't want to pull amateur anymore right hand. Done. And I had my last amateur match in like November 23, right hand. I don't pull left. If I did, I would go amateur left just because I don't pull it. But I said, and then 24 came. I was doing pretty well. I was like, I want to get ranked. And then I was still in Virginia at the time, and I got ranked in Virginia. And now I pull for North Carolina ranking in August. So it's like small goals. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
that's kind of what
Yeah.
I'm
Then shoot
shooting
for the
for.
Southeast. Just find that
Yeah,
achievable goal, put your head down, focus on getting it, get it done, get the job done, find your next goal. That's the way I operate. But now there's people like Hunter Knopf who comes in with this bulletproof mentality,
yeah,
but he backs it up. You know what I mean? This kid has
yeah,
what I like to call the winner's gene. It doesn't matter what. When he rode motocross, he was a national champion. When he fought MMA fights, he knocked people out. When he
yeah.
decided to arm wrestle, he's number one in North America. The kid is
Yeah.
just a winner. He's got that winning mentality and that winning gene. I don't have that same level of confidence. I'm more of an optimistic person, or a realistic person,
The first time I got to be around Hunter was at the Myrtle Beach tournament last year, and y'all's whole team was there for the most part, and most of you was pulling everybody's weight class, and he pulled 154 up or something like
Yeah.
that. It was him and Warzone had a match, and I can't remember what it was. Somebody was like, Hunter, lay down for Adam on this. He said, nah. He said, nah. He said, go make him earn it. I said,
Yeah.
yes, sir. I like it. I said, I like that.
Yeah.
He's gonna
Yeah,
make
we
him
try
earn
to when we go to a tournament, we're lucky in the fact that we have guys that are competitive in every weight class. And that's realistically that's our goal every time we show up is if we could take every first place medal
it. Oh
home,
yeah.
you know what I mean, a win for if I'm pulling two weight classes or if I'm pulling right and left and we've got another super heavyweight pulling right and left, I'll lay down, you can have the right hand. You
Yeah.
lay down, let me have the left hand. You winning that right hand is a win for me. Carolina
Yeah.
Chaos taking home a medal is a win for us.
Warzone's insane in his own, and when it got up to them, I was just like, "That's a stud right there." He may be out. Thank you. He's not outmatched up here
No,
whatsoever. He is
no.
not outmatched up
No,
there.
none of them are. They're killers, man. And I'm blessed. I get to train with them every single week.
Yes,
Like how
yeah.
lucky am I? That's the way I look at it.
David Redmond just said Chuck Norris calls Hunter Knopf's uncle. That's pretty good. So let's talk a little bit about the arm wrestle. Well, first let's go back to your injury. You talked
Yeah,
about that briefly, and you told me when you were at the event, my event I hosted, you said that was the best thing that ever happened to you.
yeah,
I guess that's kind of what you were alluding to with just the whole wake up call you had from a health
mentality.
standpoint. Yeah,
Yeah, I would say if I do have a little bit of the crazy gene, that would be it. When I get injured, I don't want to be injured. I don't look forward to it. But when I do get an injury, I'm very good about looking at it as a blessing. It's
Mm.
like my opportunity to face my number one critic. You know what I mean? To face my number one opponent, and that's my own brain. If I can, you know, prove to my brain or prove to that bone that I'm stronger than that bone, prove to that bicep that I'm
Yeah.
stronger mentally than that bicep. I try to look at it as a good experience. If I
Yeah.
can continue showing up, when I broke my arm, I showed up the next week in a sling and showed up to practice and pull with the other arm. If I can jump right back on that, I used to ride motorcycles a lot. First wreck I had, I was back on the motorcycle. My friends pieced it together while I scrubbed the asphalt out of my skin and jumped back on it and went and kept riding. Because if you don't jump back on that horse, you never will.
You'll stay
So,
scared of it. You'll stay scared
yeah,
of it. You'll
yeah.
stay-
So it's just a mental thing for me. But yeah, with the arm break, it was the best thing that happened to me because that was the first time I woke up to my health and was like, it's time to lose some weight. It's time to take this serious and see where I can take it.
Brent Preswell just commented saying he sat with you when you broke your arm and didn't even act like it was broke.
Yeah.
And it's
Brent's a
funny.
stud.
Kayla Cook told me that day we was talking about the arm breaks because she was involved in that one, and she said she pointed at you. She said that was the worst one I ever saw when you broke yours.
Yeah. It was, it really wasn't that bad. I didn't even have to have surgery. Um, I guess I could have elected for it, but I went to my surgeon and was like, "Hey, I'm going to compete in this sport at a high level now. So
Yeah,
if it's better to have the surgery, let's put the bar in." He said that he did not believe so. He thought it would be better. And I'm able to really crank that side pressure because of it. So
yeah. Who are we
not
to
only
argue?
did it help me out mentally, it helped me out with my arm wrestling.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
Out with some Shriners and raise money for kids at a hospital, or I get to go arm wrestle with some absolute studs. So, um, you know, I'm lacking no friends because of this sport. You know,
you talk like a very aware, humble man too. You recognize your blessings. I've talked about a lot. I haven't always. I don't like to say I've taken my blessings for granted, but I haven't always taken the time to recognize them the way they should be recognized and truly give them. And the fact that you recognize your wife for who she is as your best friend and how well you have it, when you could easily sit here and say, "Oh, I've got this going wrong and I've got that going wrong," and yeah, the clouds in the sky today. That's not your
well, you
outlook.
can complain all you want, but it ain't gonna change nothing.
Not gonna change
It's
nothing.
up to
And
you. It's up to you to make it a good day.
and by the way, I had the pleasure of meeting your wife a few weeks ago at the event. Very nice lady. Very nice to
Yeah,
meet
she
her.
won't let me compete no more. When I broke my arm, I was not supposed to compete that day. I drove up to Boone, North Carolina, and I went up there and I called her after I broke my arm, and I was like, she said, "Hey, how's it going? How's Sean doing?" Because I'd went to watch Sean Gillespie compete. It was his first tournament back after a long break, and I was like, "Well, it's not going great because I just broke my arm and I'm about to jump in the ambulance and go to the hospital. So I need you to get a ride up here so that you can drive me home in my old Ford Ranger that rides like a horse and buggy." And she just started laughing. She was like, "No, for real. Like, how's Sean doing? How's it going?" I'm like, "Well, for real, I broke my arm."
Yeah.
And so it took a couple of times, and finally I had to pass the phone to somebody. I forget who it was that I ended up passing the phone to, and they were like, "No, I'm sitting here with him. We're waiting on the EMS to get here because he just broke his arm." So ever since then, she won't let me compete without her there.
Her
So
being there.
if that's my good luck charm, man, I'll take it. So she goes everywhere with me.
She's just not wanting to inconvenience someone else for the ride to come get you. It's more like,
Exactly. Yeah. She had to hit up my parents to drive her 3 hours to Boone to get so she could get in the truck with me and drive my crippled self home. So she
well,
she would just rather be there.
at least it wasn't whining, making it that much worse on her, I guess.
Yeah. Oh
um,
man, it
you
was
know,
brutal. We had to keep stopping on the side of the interstate, and I'd have to get out and reset the bone because they didn't have the proper brace and all for a spiral fracture of the humerus. So that thing would
yeah.
pop out and start pushing up against the skin, and I'd have to get out of the truck because I couldn't do it sitting down and set it on the side of the interstate and get back in the truck and ride it. It was a 3 hour drive. It took us 5 hours to get home.
That
It was
Ford
pretty
F,
cool, brutal
that
experience though.
Ford F Ranger beating your arm all around in there,
Oh
right?
yeah, dude, like a
Realize
covered
how
wagon.
rough of a ride it was, didn't you, on the way home? That's funny. I haven't, thank goodness, I haven't had an injury that bad, but I did have uh, I did an alternating arm super match up in Beckley, West Virginia, to the point I couldn't take my shirt off the next day. Therefore, I couldn't drive. So it was, It's a long drive. It was about a 3 hour drive. It's a long drive, long ride when you are in that kind of pain. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the team. You talked about your competition team, but then you have like the people that come in, and I'm sure y'all see a ton of different faces come
Yeah.
through because they want to come in and pull with the best. And then when you go to these, I'm sure every tournament you're at, every event, people want to lock up with you. You know what I mean? I think you touched hands with about everybody I saw with the event a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
What advice would you give, male, female, young, old? What advice would you give any new pullers coming into the sport, Shane?
I don't think I hold a very popular opinion on
Okay.
everything. But I'll break it down how I feel about it. I think that table time is king. I see a lot of the Pro Nation lifts, and a lot of people focus heavily on what kind of numbers they're moving in these single motion lifts, etc. And I don't think there's a single lift that replicates arm wrestling, like grabbing somebody's hand in arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm starting to believe that there's a time frame. I think that the first 3 to 5 years, you will get more out of arm wrestling with people better than you every week. Some people can arm wrestle twice a week. There's something in the water in North Carolina because Joe Rogers and Dylan Bibb can do it. I can't. I'd cry like a baby if I pulled more than once in a week. But
Yeah.
if you can arm wrestle every week and then I guess schedule your training around being as healthy as possible for next week to
Mm.
arm wrestle again, you'll get more out of that than you will doing a pronation lift, etc. I think that they do play a role. I think it plays a role in conditioning. I think you can get a lot of elbow conditioning with training side pressure if you train it smart. I don't really believe in doing heavy singles,
Yeah.
maybe heavy threes, heavy fives. Um, and I think that those lifts, they can't hurt you. Let me clear that up. I don't think doing a pronation lift or a riser lift will hurt your arm wrestling, but I don't think it's much benefit until you reach a certain point. I think that 3 to 5 year mark, you start seeing table time and weights meet, like on a graph. And then
Yeah.
I think it gets to a point where the table time, you've kind of learned how to arm wrestle. You got somebody, especially as you get up in age, you look at the top arm wrestlers in North America, a lot of them are in their mid to late 40s. Michael Todd,
Yeah.
Devin Larrett, Todd Hutchings, they're in their 40s and 50s. John Brezink, Marcio Barbosa, Chad Silvers. Like all of these guys, I feel like benefit more from maybe table time once every 2 weeks or table time once a month and more time spent in the gym staying conditioned.
Yeah.
I think gym time should be viewed as injury prevention, and table time should be viewed as becoming a better arm wrestler. There just will come a time when those intersect and then start going the opposite direction.
You make a very valid point, especially for the beginner pullers. And let's just say the majority of your beginner pullers are already majority are avid lifters of some sort. Most of them have spent time in the gym. Me being one. That's how I got started. It's like, oh, you're strong as shit in the gym. Go be a hoss on the table too. Not exactly how that panned out, but it's where I was already strong. And so, building on the muscle, you got to work on the right muscles. And the table time is where you start learning where you need to work on. I had no kind of wrist. I'm working on that's really one of my focus areas right now is my wrist, to strengthen my wrist. And so when I'm at the gym, all my gym exercises, other than hammer curls, are arm wrestling related.
Yeah, I think I say no. The I should specify and say I believe like cupping movements. I look at your forearms like your calves. You look like you lifted and probably did it like bodybuilding and stuff like that. So if you want to build calves, you got to work them every day, unless your name's Ryan Belanger. You're just
Just
born with them. But for us average humans, if I wanted to build big calves, I would need to do calf raises every day. Look at Sam Solik. I know he's
yeah,
popular in the fitness industry. I think he ends every workout he does with calf raises. I view forearms as the same way. It's muscles that we use constantly all day
yeah,
long. so they recover fast. Calves recover fast. I feel like forearms do. I think you should be cupping while you're watching the TV.
Yeah.
I think you should be doing different type of hand and wrist motions. Even if you got a 10-pound dumbbell that you're rising or something like that kind of stuff, you can do that while you're watching TV. That's like
Yep.
brushing your teeth.
Yep.
But I don't think that the table, a big problem, a lot of guys like you, like yourself, not necessarily you, but people like you that come in from lifting run into with arm wrestling is they find that they end up hurting themselves arm wrestling to the point that they can't lift.
Yep.
And that's their true love. If
Yep.
lifting weights is your true love, you're never going to get to where you need to be arm wrestling because you're always going to be trying not to be hurting so that you can do your true passion, which is lifting the weights. Luckily, I don't know what it's like to lift weights without pain from arm wrestling because I didn't do it before I arm wrestled. So I didn't have to fight that mental barrier. But I think it's really important for guys to find people better than them and
Yeah.
arm wrestle them people as much as possible. If you're in your practice holding everybody and nobody can do anything with you, you're not gaining at that point. And you need to find people and train your guys to beat you so that you can get back to that level that you're gaining.
Now, I'm interested in your opinion on this. What is your opinion on strap when you are significantly stronger or weaker than your opponent? To me, I would think if you're stronger than the person you're training with, the strap is about the closest way to keep it fair. You know what I mean? But
I think it comes down to hand. I feel like the strap protects the hand.
yeah,
I know, like for me, left-handed, my left hand is dumb. I can't. If I tell it to bend left, it's going to bend right.
yeah,
It just doesn't listen to me. So I have no hand. If you watch tape on me, you'll see I'm majorly, I'm slipping and going to the strap left-handed, and
yeah,
that's because I can then apply my side pressure, and I don't have that hand as a weak link. Because if you put the strap on properly, it'll protect that hand and wrist a little bit.
sure, sure,
So at that point, I think it comes down to maybe who has more side pressure, but the game's so technical now, even in the strap. How you put the strap on, how you wear it, little movements that you do in the setup during the strap process can drastically change it to where somebody stronger than you could still beat them
yeah.
because you have these small advantages that they may not be aware of you getting.
I've had a couple people on and they've given examples of different folks where when they start off training, let's throw them right on inside matches, just teach them how to grind inside first, really build that up. And I could argue both ways on that. One, high risk for injury potentially for new pullers and stuff like that, going to get someone highly experienced, but two, it makes you learn the sports for you. That's for dang sure. You know what I mean? You start getting them daggone hook matches.
Yeah. Can you show up next week with that arm still hurting and still
Yeah.
get on the table? Yeah,
Yep.
you'll find out real quick. We typically teach top rolling from the start, just
Mhm.
because what is the weakest point of everybody when they start arm wrestling? It's the
The
hand
hand. Yeah, hand.
every single time. The
Yeah,
hand
hand.
and wrist. It's my weakest point. It's everybody's beginning weak point is their hand and wrist because it's not a common motion that you
Yeah.
train on. You get the outliers. You get the electricians that are turning those wrenches or turning that rigid pipe all the time. You know what I mean? Hanging 4 inch above their head that come in there with these insane hands off the rip. But those are outliers. Like we typically teach hand control arm wrestling before we teach the inside. But there comes a point where you have to start going inside. Alan, you need to start going inside.
Yeah.
When I watch your matches, it's ready to go and it's all back. It's
Pressure.
time. You've been pulling long enough. You can start committing that frame a little bit
Yeah.
and start trusting in your frame. And I
And
think that you're going to see a huge jump when you do.
you sound like Dunwoody. He's been on me bad about that. He's like, you've got to stay tight, stay
It's
out.
time to start
And
getting
he
in
said
and trusting your frame.
he said you're too damn strong to be doing that, and that's
Yeah.
it's too strong to be giving that up because it's like you talked about when you're a lifter, when you're strong, come into it. I want to take everything to the bicep. I want to be in the
Hey,
bicep.
hey. Sorry, I got all kind of dogs in here.
I feel like being a natural, just a strong guy. I want to pull you into my daggone bicep and get you on my side of the table, and then just have my wheel with you, bleed you out, and it's all up
Yeah.
here.
it just takes practice and time and actually putting yourself into the position. And it's not something you can jump into, jumping in and putting that frame. I mean, unless you're willing to, you know, end up in that bad position or having a bad day, it's not something that you need to jump straight into. But there is a point where people, I watch them in practice, and guys will be coming to our practice for 6 months, coming to our practice for a year, and I end up grabbing them and pulling them to the side privately and saying, hey, it's time to start committing that frame, because
Yeah.
that's definitely when I seen the biggest increase in my arm wrestling, was when I tore my brachialis. Once again, I find the benefit of every injury. When I ripped my brachialis, I had no post, I had no back pressure. I couldn't hammer curl a 10-pound weight.
Yeah.
So I could not top roll anymore. There was no top rolling. The only way I could arm wrestle was to supinate, look at my hand, and go inside onto the elbow. Hurt like hell. But I conditioned that elbow, and all of a sudden my side pressure increased, and that's when I started winning matches.
I tell you, someone else I could see a drastic improvement when they from their injury from that is Michael Broom. Michael Broom, when he hurt his bicep, he started changing how he pulled, and he's much better now. Him and
Michael
Jacob Green,
Broom is a
all-
stud.
and
Yeah.
Broom is he's natural. But when he that injury to me made him a better arm wrestler because he just started training different ways. And
But he
I
didn't quit training. He never gave up.
right, and I look at because me and Michael pulled each other. Our very first, we was at the same first tournament together. He and I were, so I know when his first tournament was, and he's been in there for like 2.5 years now, and he's just blowing up. He's just phenomenal.
Hey, he's
So
been coming to all of our practices. He was another one I came up to your event for. I knew he had a couple matches up there, so I wanted to show support to him because he's been showing support to us. He's been showing up at our practice, and I like guys that come to our practice for us, also. Like they show up and they're like, "Hey, what can I do to help you?" And then how can I help them?
yeah,
Instead, I think it's an egotistical sport, which is going to be the case for the most part. And a lot of people show up to practices like, "I want to show I'm the big dog. I
yeah,
want to be the man. I want to beat everybody." And I think that's another thing that sets us apart at our practices. That we're all about raising the tide so all the ships raise. Michael
and
Broom's a bad dude too. I got my eyes on him.
Michael pulls next weekend as well versus Levi. No, yeah, Levi.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that is the match with Levi, and Levi was coming to our practices. Unfortunately, that was a haul for Levi,
yeah, he's come
and
from.
I think he ended up with some car trouble and all, and just couldn't commit. It was kind of weird though, because both of them had the match set, and they were both coming to our practice at the same time, and so it was kind of weird. They're tense there for a couple months because they were both showing up every week, but uh, Levi couldn't continue, which I still respect Levi. I
What a
think the
great,
kid's got all the potential. He looks like a daggone NFL fullback, and he's like 18 or 17 years old. You know what I mean?
what a great kid. A good
Yeah,
attitude.
good dude. Yeah.
I was sure to compliment his dad and tell him, "Hey, phenomenal job raising this young man. I wish I had my head on like that at 17."
Yeah, yeah. The
Good.
kid knows what he wants and he's going after it. You can't
Yeah,
fault him one bit.
what a
He's got
great
the
kid.
potential too. How does
And
that make you feel? I know, I'm 38, man. I'm an older guy, and I see some of these Michael Brooms and these Levi's, these kids. I call them kids. They're early 20s or late teens, and they're athletes, dude. I ain't no athlete. You know what I
yeah,
mean? I spent most of my time on the couch. These kids are genetic freaks, man. They're
yeah.
athletes. It's like I can't tell if you're a D1 football player or what, but you're coming in here to my sport, and I think I've got about 3 years before you kick me out of it. You know
I,
what I mean?
when I've got them on, it's either later this month or next month. I've got Levi, David Terrell, and Landon Anderson on together. So that's I kind of wanted to be like the futures. You know what I mean? Just
David
get
Terrell, that's a bad kid too, out of Tennessee.
yeah, Landon and David Terrell both out of
And
Tennessee.
I'm a big fan of Landon Anderson. He
Oh yeah,
knows it too. I'm
yeah.
always in the comment sections hyping him up.
Landon commented today on a weight. So it was somebody posted like, "If you're being honest, what's your weight?" And he put 208. I was like,
Yeah,
"What?"
yeah, yeah. It's like he'll be 230s, and then he'll just decide he doesn't want to eat cheeseburgers anymore for a little bit and go pull 209. And it's like, yeah, go lower. You
Yeah,
just stay down there, buddy.
Landon at 209 is an absolute. That's scary. That is
Now,
scary.
do you have a match at Redmond's?
Yeah, I've got Tyson Englehart out of Tennessee, right hand, best of five.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Tyson's got some good wins. Got a win against Joe Rogers out of Georgia. Tyson's got some good wins. A solid hand. I've pulled him once. He's beat me. I've actually pulled him twice. He's beat me twice in a tournament. But I was very green when we pulled then. He's a phenomenal guy. Nothing but the utmost respect for him. Really looking forward to if I can manage to pull this win off, it will be my biggest win so far, no doubt.
Yeah. I'm planning on being there. You know, Lord willing and
Awesome.
creek don't rise. I've got, like I said, Florida this week, and then my son has a jujitsu competition coming up. My son is like he lives, breathes, eats, sleeps jujitsu, which I love.
Yeah,
I'm so
great.
happy about that. But I think his tournament, we looked at the scheduling, and his tournament is the following week after Redmond's. So I've got Redmond's weekend open, provided nothing comes up or nothing happens. So I'm definitely planning on making the drive to Asheville just to watch, have a good time. And then I don't typically do a lot of after pulling, but when I go to events like that where I'm not competing, I do like to take the opportunity to grip up new hands. That's how I ended up gripping up with Jake Green, Bryce Meadows,
Oh yeah,
them
two.
kids out of what is it, West Virginia or Virginia?
Yeah, they're West Virginia, both of
West
them.
Virginia.
Yeah, yeah.
Studs, dude. Studs. That's a group of kids that you get you get a really solid legend puller teaching them, and sky's the limit.
You West
Strong kids.
Virginia arm wrestling with Bo Horner, Bryce Meadows, Jacob Green, Jake Colson, and I could name some
Colson. Yeah.
more. Chris Wood, several more guys are really coming up in the state of West Virginia right now, and
Yeah.
fortunate to get to be very close with that team. So Jacob Green and I are very close friends, and then I've pulled with Bryce and Jake Colson many times. They're a phenomenal group to pull with, good young studs, and the sky's the
Athletes,
limit.
man. Athletes, young athletes.
Yeah.
Like whatever y'all do, stay out of my weight class. Like just
What's so next weekend? So Green was supposed to be at Redmond's, but he's in the Super 64 in Colorado.
yeah, he
Uh,
was supposed to pull Ted Shimelnicki.
yep. So he's in
Yeah,
the
I
Super.
think Ted had like 9 guys pull out of a match with him. I finally told him I was like, hell, Ted, I'm open that week. I'll pull you. You can't find nobody else. I'll pull you, Ted.
I, so we're in a group, and your name got. He's like, y'all, I'm willing to pull anybody at this point. He's like, just find me a match, and somebody's like Paul Walter. He's like, Then somebody said Shane Owens. He's like, hell no. He's like, I'll pull Paul before Shane. I said, I won't Dunwoody twice. Just because I said, Dunwoody, I want you twice.
I don't want to pull Ryan Dunwoody. That kid, the best hand around. That
Well,
kid's hand, stupid.
Shane, I'm going to let you get off here, man. I really appreciate you tuning in with us. Thank you to all the viewers for tuning in. The chat was quite active with a lot of folks. That's going to be Andrew Bernatich, Sean, Brent Presnell. A lot of folks that's going to be at Redmond's. Brent's wife's got a match at Redmond's as well. I'm excited about that. Her and Lucky got a great match. It's
Hey, Brent's
going to be
wife she's good, dude.
fast. Hannah's
Yeah,
fast. I
she's
pulled
real good. Yeah,
So I've been telling people, I said, Hannah took her a little bit of time off. Watch out. I said, Hannah's
yeah.
gonna come back. She's gonna come out fast, boy. But
Well, make sure you tell everybody in the chat, y'all go to thechallengerseries.com. There is links to the pay-per-view, or Orlando is a cheap flight from anywhere. You've still got time to fly down to Orlando, drive down to Orlando. Man, we're going to have a good time. I know Friday, I was in the athlete chat. They were talking about we've got, like pictures with the promo people, but we've got merchandise signing. We're signing jerseys, posters. We're doing a meet and greet Q&A session with the VIP. Then we got the live press conference, the weigh-ins. All that's going to be Friday. And then Saturday, we've got the event. It's like 15 super matches. The pay-per-view price has been going up. They started it at $10 pay-per-view, and now it's at, I want to say, like 15,
that's not
and
bad.
it's probably going to go up to like 20 day of. So if you're planning on getting a pay-per-view, I would jump on it now.
Come on, guys.
And
15
same
bucks.
with the
That's
in-person
cheaper.
tickets.
That's cheaper than a movie on Amazon Prime. Go ahead and
Yeah,
pay the
and you get to
15
see me.
bucks.
Look, I'm down to 250. I'm looking lean, mean.
You
It's
are.
going to be a good day too. That
Uh,
that elbow ain't lost no weight though, Carl Stanley. If you're seeing this, you don't worry.
and tell
That
us one more
elbow's
time.
just as big.
Where's the link at, Shane? Where's that link at? So we.
It will be. Y'all can go to my Facebook. I've posted it several times. I think I have a story up currently from what after I did my cardio this morning. but it's the challengerseries.com. And in there, you'll be able to click on and buy pay-per-view, in-person tickets, VIP tickets. They still got a couple of those left. So it's going to be a good day.
Awesome,
I'd
dude.
love all the support, man. All the Carolina people, y'all always, you either love me or you hate me, but you support me either way. And I'd love to have y'all support as I take on that Florida boy in his hometown.
Well, everybody on the East Coast, especially like right here in the good old boy area, South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, is nothing but supportive for you. And, anxious to see you pull down there. And like I said, Carl's a good puller. Nothing but respect towards him. But I'm liking my man's chances right here. So
Yeah, man. Hey, his friends Chance and Dylan set it up. I told my buddy earlier, I was like, with friends like that, who needs enemies? Because they set him up for failure. You know what I mean?
all right, buddy. Well, y'all, thank y'all for tuning in. Be sure to listen to Shane. Be sure to go to his Facebook and check out the link. $15 is nothing. Now that he's said that, I'm probably gonna hop on because I got no plans for Sunday or to watch it and that day. So Saturday, excuse me. But y'all tune in and thank y'all for hopping on and watching. And Shane, please tell your wife thank you for setting you free for a little bit.
She just shook her head. She just waved. She heard you.
All
All
right, all right,
right, man. Y'all
appreciate
be
you,
good.
buddy.
I appreciate you inviting me on, man.
All right, I'll talk to you later on.
All right.